Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is David Nancarrow. He is the founder of Suncoast Counselling in Australia, and he is a multifaceted. In his multifaceted career, showcases his commitment to promoting mental health, fostering positive workplaces, and enhancing professional development. His impact extends to both individual counseling and organizational well-being. Was like a little bit not perfect, but it's
It's good.
perfection is not one of my fortes.
It's beautiful.
So the full bio will be at the end. There's a lot more to David. But the question that I love asking everyone after
Yeah.
my brief introduction, how would you introduce yourself, David? Who are you in your very words in this very moment?
Yes. How would I introduce myself? I love life. I think having the best life we can is even through our struggles and our pain, but it's also loving. I believe we are in a universe of love. I believe God is love. I
Mm,
believe
yeah.
the ultimate is love, and what I stumbled across with values work is the ultimate love language. But I love
Mm,
surfing. I love bushwalking. Play the guitar occasionally. You may see my Mancoon cat behind me. I apologise. She wouldn't.
oh,
He wouldn't let.
yeah.
He wouldn't let me be
Yeah.
alone in the office. So, but yeah, been married for 39 years. Had our wedding anniversary last weekend. So we have a big family, grandchildren. So life is
Uh,
full.
yeah.
uh, but I love helping people in couple counselling. I love healing relationships. I
Yeah.
definitely can see things spiritually over people.
Mm,
I wouldn't call myself a spiritualist person, but I definitely see things that can help them,
yes.
and just be real with them, and keep them safe in the room. So I love giving to people. Probably what I would
Uh,
conclude. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. It's truly beautiful though.
yeah,
The interesting thing is I've done so many interviews, and every time I ask somebody, what's the purpose of life? I
yeah.
would get there, to help others.
Yes.
So there's something about helping others. Do you wonder why we feel so strongly about helping one another to grow, to heal, and
Yeah.
to ascend?
I think ultimately it comes down to our sense of compassion, or sense of there's a need, when I was a family law mediator, conflict is an unmet need. So
Yeah.
conflict is an unmet need, and we sort of want the conflict to go away, and
Mm,
that's pretty reasonable. But the need, if we can have the solution in the need, we actually prevent the conflict. And
right.
that's pretty much what I go for when I talk to anybody. I say, I can hear your pain, I can hear the conflict, and I can hear emotional distress, and things like that. And even in grief, it's accepting that, and that's the
Mm,
solution.
yeah.
But yeah, it's meeting that need through a solution. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
really resonates with me.
yeah.
I usually think about the unified field, like that, this very core of life, that everything
Yes,
is interconnected, everything is one. I don't know, for
yes,
some reason, it kind of makes sense to me. I don't know what part of me that that's what love is, like
yes,
everything, we all connected through that thread of God itself, of the essence of the universe, whatever we call it, life itself. It's all
yes,
connected.
yes.
There's no separation. It might be, I don't know. That's my take, yeah, on that.
Yes,
But
I'll just show you my puppy.
yeah.
I've got a new puppy. I need to show you because it's
Oh, a
it's
puppy.
it's woken up. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, that's sweet.
Impromptu moment, but it is the cutest puppy in the
Oh,
world.
oh my God. You're so sweet. What's her name? His name, her name?
His name is
Oh,
Bungie, and
Bunny.
in the local
Oh,
Indigenous Aboriginal nation locally, Bungie means
yeah.
mate or scruffy, and
Yeah.
we thought, well,
Oh my God, I love animals. We have a dog, Zen. He would love him. I can't wait to get him a puppy. He's 4 years old.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
look at how cute he is. Hi, Bundy. You're so sweet. Aren't you sweet? Oh, I was looking at the
Yeah,
camera.
he's looking
Oh, you
at
look
you.
at the like who's speaking? That
He's
is sweet. Oh my God. You're so sweet. Aren't you, Bundy Bundy?
He
Mm,
is
oh
lovely.
my
Yeah, so
God.
Fox
Oh,
Terrier, Maltese, and Jack
yeah.
Russell Cross.
Oh, it's
So
so
that's a
sweet.
bit of a ball of energy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, but I'll try and let them out. There you go. Yeah,
Mm.
sorry about that.
Speaking of that, you see that thread again. It's like I felt, and I was like feeling this that energy. It's so pure, so
Yeah,
present, like
yeah,
animals.
yeah,
What's not to love about them? Thank you
yeah.
for the
It's
gift, for the treat right now, the soul treat. Ah, okay. Let me try to go back.
yes,
So we were talking off record about core value therapy. Talk to
yes,
me about what that is and
yes,
what inspired you to create the method?
yes. So about in 2007, I had a client that changed my life, and I hope I changed his as well.
Yeah.
I was the anger management counselor, and pretty much everybody come to me for anger management. And this guy said, "Look, people press my buttons, Dave." Well, he said, "I don't know what that button is, and it's annoying me." He's blaming other people.
Right.
Anyway, I was getting sick of hearing that. Really, I was hearing this thousands of times, and in my training, no one could really identify what the button was. Like, is the button the circumstance? We know we're emotional. Is it other
Right.
people? Cognitive behavioral therapy is our thoughts and our feelings and our behavior all sort of talk to each other. And really, where's the beginning? I wanted to know the beginning of it, because when I ask other experts and psychologists about, well, is it our thoughts? Is it our feelings? Is it our behavior? Which one starts? Oh, we don't know, Dave. It's all just some sort of spin cycle. I said, well, that's not
Yeah.
good enough. And
Yeah.
I wrote a button on the wall, on the whiteboard, not just physically on the wall, but on the whiteboard, and
Yeah.
said, we're not leaving this room until I know what that button is. Now, what that button was a value.
Mm.
Now, we know values. I'm aware we know values, but what I discovered that day is we have hidden values, maybe unconscious, maybe we say unconscious values, but simply not aware of these values. We
Yeah.
say them in our speech, we do them, we feel them, we think now we've got the center, which is our value. And his value was truth.
Yeah.
And he
Mm.
would get annoyed when people would lie to him. Well, that's logical. But he would be blaming, didn't you understand what I said? I said this, you had to do that. Oh, no, boss, we thought you meant that. And he was getting
Oh,
agitated at people, but
yeah.
wasn't realizing it was his truth value getting quite upset.
Right.
And what
Yeah.
came from that was that I took this onto other clients. I've taken this now into businesses and for corporate values, and how do we live them? How do we make them a verb? How do we
Right.
actually do them? And first to reveal them, but it's still a mystery of why we've
Mm.
hidden, with these values are hidden. But
Right.
when they're revealed, people, Valeria, have
Mm.
joy. They can be crying. They can
Yeah.
actually be going back into the moment of being upset, and
Mm.
then they actually, I I can't tell them the value. And then this may seem very strange for people listening. I can put it up on the whiteboard. I feel very disrespected when people don't tell me the truth, and you know, um, I don't feel appreciated about that. So there's three values I've mentioned: respect, truth, and appreciate. And I could
Right.
put that on the whiteboard.
Right.
A business person could record his own statement. We could have a story this big, and they'll say,
Yeah.
could you just summarize it to this big? And then when we get one sentence, that one sentence is something like I've just said. So it's packed full of values, or even just one value.
Right.
If we took the values out, we don't really know what's happening. For
Right.
example, I feel disrespected when someone does da 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 da. If you take the word disrespect out, I feel when someone,
Right.
I don't really understand what's going on. So that important word, some people go, well, is that a value? Appreciate and significance, and there's lots of, but you're not going to get this value from a value sheet. That
Right.
is a really not a good way to do it, because it's in our soul, it's in our spirit. We
Mm,
will say it. I ask the question,
mm,
why do people use that value? And why can't they see it? I don't know. But when it's revealed, their emotional awareness increases. They're actually able to control their emotions, to be aware of what's offending them, and that's how it started. But I'm very passionate about it,
right.
because this is not a value that I've just said, oh, you'll work on integrity, mate, you'll be fine.
Right.
No, this, when they reveal it, they go back in time and go, oh my goodness, I've been saying this all my life. This is my pain, and also my love and my joy. The value
Right.
has two sides. It can be very sick. I'm not trusting anybody anymore, Dave. Well, you can't buy another one off the internet. You've got to heal the one you've got. Yeah, but I'll
Mhm.
stop there, because I could just keep going, and I want you to ask me some questions. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. I never heard of that way. So healing
yeah.
your core value too.
Oh yes, yes. Well, that's
Wow,
that's in
seems like
schema therapy. That's with your interview yesterday with Flora. She was talking about our wound and talking about that pain in the valley. And I was invested in that an interview with her, because I know how to heal that.
mm,
Um, not
mm,
saying I know all of it. I'm just saying I've found another part in it, another part of the journey. But
right.
our values can blow us up. They can cause us to be
Mm,
angry and offended. It
mm,
actually does go into our gut.
yeah.
The new science is that's where we make our dopamine. And if
Right.
we're in anxiety and stress
Yeah.
in our gut, we don't make dopamine for our brain. So
Ah,
stress and anxiety does lead to depression, right? That's an
right.
old King Solomon proverb, but it's actually true in psychology now. They go, oh. So I
Right.
help people shut that down, not shut it down, but how do we resolve that conflict if someone's breaching your values?
Right.
Are you breaching your values? That
Right.
that really messes us up. When we,
Mm,
when we have a value breach, we tend to overextend back, and probably maybe more disrespectful back, or
mm,
because that's our automatic system.
right.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Wow.
Um,
When did they originate? Like how are they established, the
yes,
values?
good question. There's two theories, and I love the spiritual and the organic, and the power of love and forgiveness, and I love the psychology and the science. I can
Mm,
see both sides, and I
yeah.
balance myself like that. So in psychology, there's nurture and nature. So nurture is our family of origin. That's our upbringing, our parents, and
Right.
we could have a father or a mother. We get 60% of our values and morals from our mother, and
Uh,
40% from our father.
oh, I did
It's
know
what they
that.
say. And I think I can hear my mother's voice, how she counseled me and guided me when I was about 10.
Right.
She's long past now, but I can
Yeah.
still hear her counsel.
Yeah.
So that's the family of origin, how we're taught. You've got to do the right thing, you've got to tell the truth,
Mm,
and all these are great values that we may have been taught, even from society or our culture or faith.
right.
And nature is epigenetics. Now, in universities all around the world now, they teach epigenetics, which means that we remember back to about 6 generations.
Oh, wow.
So Indigenous people here on the coast, they just know when there's fish and there's food in the ground. And I go, how do you know that? I don't know. We just know it, Dave. That's epigenetics, and that's
Yeah.
like migrative birds, and it's just passed down.
Right. Right.
So someone could be like great grandmother or great great grandfather, and just like your personality and values and beliefs and stubbornness, or just loving, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Never met them, but
Right.
genetically they're like them.
Right.
And I think it's both.
Yes.
When people ask me that in a session, I just say it started really young. It's not
Yeah.
going away. It's like it's been here for a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
And what is the difference between beliefs and values?
Yeah,
Are
that's
they
that's very good. Yeah, a lot of people
another one?
ask me that. Beliefs can be changed, values
Right,
cannot.
right.
I can believe
Yes.
that sugar is bad for me.
Ah,
Probably it is. I probably shouldn't use that one. But I could believe. I had someone the other day say we got told when we were younger not to
yeah,
have salt, but salt has beautiful minerals in it. So we could believe that salt's bad for us, but
right,
actually now believe it's good for us.
right.
So a belief can change, a value cannot. It is
Mm,
absolutely hardwired into our mind, our soul, our spirit,
mm,
our emotions. I
mm.
believe it controls our thinking and our behavior as well. But
Absolutely.
beliefs, yeah, that's probably the simplest way to answer that. If it's okay, it's
Yeah.
we can believe some great things. We can
Yes.
believe in the universe. We can believe in God. We can believe in love. There's nothing wrong about our beliefs and our ethics and
Yeah.
our morals, but they can slightly morph and change.
Mm.
Whereas if I unlock a value, we talk about in psychology and counselling, such you just go to strength based, Dave. Strength based. Strength based is so it keeps on going. What I've discovered with core value therapy, we've changed it to core value approach. And the new book, um,
Oh, you didn't know
that
that.
values approach in business, I've just published.
Yeah.
Trying to get rid of the word therapy because I want everybody to do this.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want just to be the therapist. I tried to teach therapists, and sometimes they sort of push back on me, going, "No, no, no." Some love it, but I want
Mm.
everyone to know this. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. I love that what you're doing because yeah, it's trying to help the world to help. I mean, doing what you do naturally anyway,
yes,
but in finding being creative enough, yeah, so
yes,
people don't push it away. Because you're right, a lot of people don't really like the idea of oh, you need therapy. They don't they don't like the word therapy because it feels
yeah,
like there's something wrong with them.
yeah,
That's how they feel a lot of times.
yeah,
You have to be open to it. So I like that you are yeah making this more broad, you know, more.
yes,
So that's wonderful. The question that I have that came to
yeah,
me was about when you talked about truth, because that's
yes,
one. I'm wondering if that's a core value that is common. Again, that thread again that everyone. I wonder if
yes.
everyone has that core value. Would you say
That's a
so?
great question. There seems to be our conscious or big questions, like big values, I mean, that like trust and
Yeah,
truth and respect.
yeah,
But let me just
yeah,
go here for a bit. We can have what we value. I might value looking after the environment and protecting our earth.
yeah.
Others might value exploiting it. We
Mm,
might value integrity and respect to all humanity, no matter what creed or religion. We might value I might value relationships and things like that. But my values are different. Now, we have our conscious values. When someone, if I'm doing a session with someone and they're telling me about a problem, and I just simply say, "Oh, what are your values?" And they go, "Oh, I know my, hang on, actually, what are my values?"
yeah. No,
Because
no,
our
no.
mind is
Yeah.
quite analytical and logical. And when someone says, "Oh, blah, 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 blah," well, that probably is their values, but I'm after the value they can't see.
The hidden
I'm
ones.
after
Yeah.
the deeper one that they're not aware of, that really, and that's why we call it the core value. This one controls all the other values. This one does not sleep. This one,
Ah.
this one is on all the time.
Ah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I respect that we're going to get values
Mm.
from a faith, from workplaces. They have the values, and we could adopt them. We could get adoption of values from our caregivers, but that's not our personal values.
Right.
Our personal core values, I ultimately believe we're born with them. I think they're part of our personality, soul or spirit, but it's actually part of us.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I believe there. So and so yeah, so the value is common to all, that are the basic, like the five basic, like the
Yeah.
trust, the truth, the respect, and things like that. Didn't mention
Yeah.
five, but the classics. But when
Yeah.
I have someone have a very unique value. You know, I've had someone says, I don't feel significant, Dave. I
Yeah.
don't feel appreciated.
Yeah.
Or they come in little clusters. Like someone says, I just feel this was so unjust and unfair. And so there'll be, justice and fairness and integrity.
Right.
And someone will say, well, I just don't feel appreciated, accepted, or acknowledged or recognized. And there's these little clusters that they say.
Yeah.
And they're like little family groups. One of those could be the core, but they're in a discovery. If I say to them in a session, well, what did you just say just then?
Yeah.
And they make up another word for the value when they mention it, or it goes blank in their moment. So they go, I don't care what value it is. That's not the point. It could be one of the classic big ones. It could be something small, but it's that important word in that sentence.
Right.
And if I get someone to reflect it, it's a struggle. I can put it up on the whiteboard and say, I feel very disrespected when, or I feel dishonored when, or I feel unworthy when, or whatever like that. And I'll just say, where's the value up there? Now they can go into, oh, well, I value friendship, Dave. No, that's a really good conversation to have. But I say, no, it's actually a value word. I would say 9 times out of 10, most people say to me, is this a trick question? And I go, no.
Right.
I said, I don't see it, Dave. It is absolutely on the board.
Right.
That is where I get excited because I'm on the verge of helping them see their value. Now, what therapists have done, sorry to use that word, but counsellors, but I agree with you, the word therapist, I just used it, is we tell them the value.
Yeah.
Now, I did that the other day in a session. I just thought, oh, well, just for fun, I'll just tell the person the value. So, oh, you're very big on integrity or on honour. And they go, yeah. And they just kept on moving. They had no pause whatsoever, no reflection.
Right.
And it doesn't work. But if I ask them, what value did you say? We could stay there for 10 minutes until they pop it. I cannot tell them. If I do it, I actually dishonor the moment. They won't discover it. But when they discover it, something happens in their conscious mind, talks to the unconscious, or something happens deep within their soul or spirit. I don't actually know really.
Right.
But when people do discover it, some people who are not even any way spiritual or even believe in God or the unit, whatever, they just go, oh my goodness, what is happening to me? I'm having a spiritual experience. They even say it to me. Or they'll have joy. They'll have joy. Like what you're about, Valera. So, and they'll smile and they'll have happiness. And the people I've taught to help other people, even this week, they've said the same thing. They said, this is fascinating. This person was in distress and we popped their value and then they just, it makes no sense to their circumstances. Still probably got that circumstances going on, but they have a lot more energy and capacity. I believe our values are our ultimate love language, A lot of people know about the 5 love languages or all that around. It's very good. It works. Yeah. But I mean the ultimate, the one that drives all those love languages. I believe it's the value. Now, here's the caution, though. Our values can get sick. They can get unwell. They can get offended and hurt. And I met, the old nursery rhyme Mother Hubbard, but but she sort of feeds the community, or the ones that I know from nursery rhymes. She's a very giving woman. Anyway, I met this lady that was like this, and she came into my office and she said, I'm not going to trust anybody anymore. She helps the homeless. She gives her car to people. She's a very giving lady, very important for our community. And I said, if you don't trust, you won't live. And she did not look well. Her life in her was not great. And I said, you're born to trust. You need to be wise in your trust, but you need to befriend that trust again and go, and not just say from the confession of our mouth, our heart speaks, I'm not going to trust anymore. You need to trust again. And I actually saw her literally come back to life in a soul right in front of me. And she said, I don't need to see you again, Dave. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
she was able to give away that trust, or operate in that to help other people.
Right.
So I believe that, and I'm saying the word believe because I believe that this is true. I believe we're put on earth to give away our values,
Wow. That's
not
powerful.
not to receive them.
That's powerful. Wow.
So if
Never
I
heard it that
ask,
way, David.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if I ask someone,
Mm.
how much do you want others to fulfill your value, to make you feel worthy, to make you feel appreciated, to make you
Mm.
feel honored, and big values, to respect you? Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
10, Dave? Like 8, 9, 10? Why
Yeah.
not? Okay, seems logical.
Yeah.
The three directions of values is from others, or to ourselves. And then on the whiteboard, I'll go, well, to yourself, how much do you honor yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, how much do you respect yourself? It doesn't matter what the value is. I go, so out of 10, gut feeling, level,
Right.
give me a level. And I'll
Mm.
go, oh,
Yeah.
2 out of 10.
Yeah.
So I said, so you want others to do what you can't do yourself.
Mm.
Oh
Mm.
my goodness, that is
Mm.
instant conflict. You want others to honor you, respect you, appreciate you, whatever the value may be, but you can't do it yourself.
Mm.
That's an impossible task on your partner or another person. And they're
Right.
going, well,
Right.
what should I do, Dave? I said, I
Mm.
want you to
Mm.
drop that expectation from others.
Yeah.
And visually, if you can imagine two test tubes with fluid, 8 out of 10, it'll be 2 here. So it's connected. When we
Yeah.
lower that, I've seen people's self-worth, self-confidence,
Ah,
self-love. Remember, I believe the value is our love, our
yeah.
ultimate love. We want love from other people. I get that.
Yeah.
But self-love needs
Mm.
to start with us. And that's through the value,
Right.
respecting ourselves, honoring ourselves, whatever our personal
Mm.
value may be. Then
Mm.
the third direction is to others.
Yeah.
We can actually, from our full cup, we can give that to others.
Right. Right.
But when we have a debt between someone, so if I'm doing couple
Right.
counselling, I say, well,
Right.
they need to do this, Dave. Like, hello, we're married. I get that, but that's a debt. That won't work. You need
Yeah.
to not have a debt there. If they do love you, but you can't control that. If you
Right.
control that,
Right.
that's not okay. That's controlling behaviour. There's power and control.
Right.
And when you let that go, it's like when we wanted. I had one guy.
Yeah.
He said, I've travelled all over New Zealand and Australia, and I'm in his Triumph bike, and I just don't feel
Yeah.
accepted.
Oh.
And I said, do you accept yourself right now? And he just started crying. And that
Yeah.
was where his healing became. Don't worry about other people accepting. You accept yourself. You then accept them
Mm.
and let go of what comes in. And that's how we heal.
Yeah.
Um, yes,
Wow.
I hope that wasn't too much, but
Wow. Oh, I love how you inspire in a very powerful way
yeah,
by people to see themselves. So basically, you're seeing them. They're being seen,
yes,
valued. I mean, you just giving them your presence to them. It's just beautiful. The space
yeah,
they're being seen, the hidden places. So
yeah,
that is just magical to me.
yeah,
How yeah, people
yeah,
like you do that.
yes,
Truly beautiful. And so the work it feels to me like overall is the work of self discovery, isn't it, David?
yes,
Self discovery.
yes,
And
yes.
another thing that take away from me, I love the way you said these things. I mean, that I never heard it this way before. So our job is to give away our value, our core value. To do it's
Yes,
almost like it's not to acquire values in this
yes,
world, but just give. That's just
yes,
beautiful. I never heard it that way.
yes,
I'm a student of Advaita Vedanta, which is a spiritual philosophy that's very ancient from India, and
yep,
you probably heard about the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads.
yep,
That's the foundation of Vedanta. So everything, according to them, which resonates with me, it has to do
yes,
with identity. So always goes back with identity. Like,
yes,
what do you think you are? What are you? Who are you? It starts there. So if you
yes,
believe you are whatever it is, we can call value. It could be anything, but it feels like to me that still connected to beliefs, because in the depth of what we are, there's actually is the essence of
Yep.
life, is life itself. So
Yes.
there's no center there, there's no point there.
Yep.
So because I've been trying to find that core me, and I never seen one. But when you talk about values, then something comes up in a sense of what is the conditioned body mind are interested in. And I'm
Yes.
very much interested in truth, in
Yes.
people, in whatever it is. I want to see the truth. I'm interested in kindness and love. So these are the driving forces behind this conditioned body mind. And I don't know if that has something to do with the core of life, which is interconnectedness, and
True.
then it is
Yeah.
this powerful force that knows, that's benevolent, and knows that
Yep.
everything is
Yep.
connected. That's
Yes.
one. So I don't know if that's, yeah, I would
Yeah,
love to
that's
hear
cool.
from you about, yeah, my
Yes.
perspective.
Well, you mentioned a powerful value in that statement. Can you recall it now?
Oh, yes, yeah. This knowing that there's no the self, the person called Valeria. I can't find it. I don't know what that is. But then from that, there's something that comes up more in a sense of seeing everything as a creation of God. So there's
True.
nothing but God, and
True.
that's sacredness to me.
Yes.
And
But
that's,
in your
I don't know if
yeah,
that's a value, but
yeah, oh, that yes, yes, we can have value in God and the universe, and value in humanity and protecting the earth. But you, in that statement before, you were mentioning, truth and life and love,
mm,
and that meant believing that,
kindness, yeah,
right? And kindness, yes, yes, yes. So
yes.
in that statement, which I just very very summary for you, there's 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 some value words in there. Can you recall them?
Mm. Truth, yeah, you just mentioned
Nice, well
before.
done. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
Kindness, is that a value?
yep,
Kindness,
that is a
yeah.
value. Yeah, there's sort of like gentleness and kindness and these
Yeah.
sort of other ones over here. But yes, truth is a value.
Yes.
Now you asked, who's your inner self, and that in the interview that you did with Flora, at the end of the interview, you mentioned a beautiful value, but you're in a. I was watching the rhythm of how you're talking,
Yeah.
and values will either be at the beginning of a sentence or potentially at the end. I've
Mm.
noticed they tend to start something like,
Yeah.
I feel disrespected, or you're not telling me the truth, or when you did this, you weren't
Yeah.
respecting me, and they're at the end. They're just in sort of just structure of how we speak. At
Yeah.
the end of your statement, you said a value, because I was listening to the whole interview, actually listening
Wow.
for your values, ready for my
Yeah.
interview today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go back over that interview.
I will. What did I say? Remind me, please.
No,
The
no,
whole
well,
thing
I
connected.
can't, I can't. This one, I
Oh
think is, this
no. I
one,
will
I
go
think is
back.
probably your core. This
Ah.
one is, I think, your big
Mm.
one, because when people say it, I hear it differently. When
Mm.
someone says it consciously and mentally, logically, it doesn't
Yeah,
sound the
man.
same. But when you
Right.
hear it from their heart and their soul, it sounds different, and it
Mm.
sounded different. And I went, oh. And now I'm not
Ah.
saying that is your core. I'm just saying it'd be nice if you could see it. Now, the beauty of this is you have your own recording. Like when I'm in a
Yeah,
session, I
I
get
will.
people to record on their phone and play it back, or I do
Yeah.
write it up on the board. The
Yeah.
third way is I reflect it back. Now, reflecting back is okay, but I want you to discover the ultimate way is you discover it yourself. Now, that's hard
Mm.
because sometimes you need someone to reflect,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we just don't see it. But you have a
Right.
lot of work in this area. You've been interviewing thousands of people. I'm convinced, and if not, email me and we'll have a chat.
I will. I
Um,
definitely
but
will.
it
Thank
was a
you.
beautiful one, and I hope that was okay for me to say, just to
Yeah, of
for your
course. Yeah.
curiosity. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Now I'm so curious to know,
I
what did I
know.
say that's not connected to truth, love, and kindness? Because they feel, I mean, And hopefully, I know you said it sounds, now it's sounding mental to you. And I'm like, I hope this, I mean, you see the hope. I don't hope for anything.
Mm.
But now you really made me curious to know,
I
what did
love
I
that.
say there? I hope it's connected.
I love that.
Uh,
And if you can't naturally recall it now, because I do respect the fact that you know your values. Though, like most people in this journey
mm,
are quite aware.
yeah,
Some aren't. Some are completely unaware. But you have a good understanding of that already. The thing with this is that you'll have something to go back on now. Look at it, and I'm
yeah.
sure you'll find it. If you can't find it,
At
I'm
the
going to be
end,
super happy
to email me. Okay, good.
because
What did I
what I'm
say?
going to be super happy is go, oh, that's this could be the big one. Now
Yeah. Hmm.
let's
Yeah.
let's 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 it's very safe. In
Mm,
core value approach, it's so safe.
yeah.
It's in healing trauma, healing a disagreement between people. Alan
Yeah.
Wade in Canada uses the uh, uh, basically response therapy. How did you respond to something? And when you listen to him, people are saying values where I responded and I kept that person, respected and honored and safe. And then I dealt with that person who was being
Yeah.
really, unhinged. And there it is. There's values in how we respond in difficult times and in
Right.
joyful times. The
Right.
reason I ask people what's
Right.
upsetting you, or they tell me anyway, because that's why they come to a
Yeah.
counselor,
Yeah.
is you see your value more in a hurt sense rather than in a happy sense. When they're happy, we just go, fine, life is good, I'm not going to really worry about it. But when we're in pain, the pain is our value being offended. That's what we feel in our gut.
Right.
We That just got breached.
Right.
Breached meaning crossed, like it didn't get fulfilled.
Mm, yeah.
Like we're talking about something being disrespectful, and it's not nice.
Yes.
Um, but we
Yeah.
can't be disrespectful back. We have to be
Mm,
respectful back.
mm,
There are places we need to keep ourselves physically safe, of course, if it's life and death. But I'm talking about just normal, average stuff in life.
right. Right.
If you have a breach value and you go, well, I'm going to breach my value, but you're unconscious about it, like you're just on automatic pilot,
Mm,
you feel very justified in our actions. But when we're
right.
aware, we can actually, when I have a saying, in conflict, there's healing,
Mm,
right?
wow. Yeah.
In conflict, there's healing.
Yeah.
So when I have a couple in conflict and the
Mm,
guy, and she's crying and he said, Dave, I don't know what to do. You ask her, she might want a cuddle. She might just want you to stop talking. She might want a cup of tea. But in conflict, there's healing. You
mm,
need to, we need to be able to go there. But the value gives you that healing.
yeah.
Even if someone's been, I'm using respect because that is one of the classics we can all consciously be aware of. If someone's been disrespectful, it's not conditional that I be respectful back to you if you've been
Mm,
just, no, I'm going to actually be respectful, and maybe I can turn that around.
right. Right.
That's the key. But if you know your own personal value, it's like a superpower.
Yeah. That
But
sounds
it,
to me.
it but it is also can be our Achilles heel and blow us up. It actually
Yeah.
can be so
Mm,
unwell
yeah.
that I had one person said,
Uh,
I don't trust other people, Dave. I don't even trust myself, and other people can't even trust me. So all those three layers that I see we're broken up into, like in directions from
right.
others to ourselves, we're all stuffed. We're all broken. And I
Mm,
told him, you can't get a new value. You can't download another value.
yeah.
You have to heal the one you've got. Are you with me with that? And he said, yes. And over a period of time, he healed that, where he was able to trust again, trust
Beautiful.
himself, and people could trust him. It was fantastic to watch. An
Yeah.
average Aussie bloke that you wouldn't think would come to counselling, those types of
Mm,
guys that we've got a lot of them over here.
wow. That's amazing. I
Yeah,
love, yeah, your insights. I love how deep, yeah, you go. Because of my because I'm a student of Vedanta and now I'm a guide too.
yeah,
My practices for the last 20 years has been because I went through a lot of trauma and all that, and
yeah,
then unconscious everything.
Yeah.
But then the more I discovered that there's no core, let's say, center identity there here, then it became so much more soft. I think it's
Love
my
that.
job is to soften, the
Yeah.
centered, what is identified, conditioned to believe in certain things. So the
Yep.
more I don't believe in anything, the more open I am.
Yep.
That's where the magic is. And I don't know if that's a value. Would you say that openness is a value, being receptive and curious, and instead of
Definitely.
having an opinion and a strong idea about something?
Definitely. I'm convinced that any important word in a statement is a value. I've had
Ah,
I've had someone say,
yeah,
um, my team doesn't put a lot of effort in, and my husband doesn't do effort, and I'm doing all the effort. And I'm thinking I've never seen effort as a value,
yeah.
but I
Ah,
I just said, well, go and observe that. And what people do when they get awareness, they actually hear themselves saying it. This lady came back and said, Dave, I'm starting to annoy myself. I'm saying effort 50 times a day. And I
yes,
said, well, you were saying it before me. You're just now hearing it. And
yeah,
then she asked her girlfriend, do I say this? And they go, oh, yeah, you say this a lot. It's just your driving force. Now, we can overextend our values. We can put too much effort in, values of responsibility, take a lot of
right,
responsibility, but too much or not enough. So we have to be in
right,
balance.
right.
But I've come to the conclusion that any important word that
Mm,
someone identifies could potentially be a value, like openness. That's beautiful.
yeah,
It's not a
yeah,
common one. It wouldn't be something that's your five setters of classic values. But if
right.
someone wasn't open to you, Valeria,
Mm,
you would feel like,
yeah,
hang on, what's going on?
right,
Yeah, you would
right.
feel possibly offended
Yeah.
or
Uh,
standoffish about that. It's gonna
mm,
it's gonna affect your thoughts, your
mm,
emotions, and your
mm,
behavior, your presence. But if someone was
mm,
open to you and
mm.
just again, you'd interpret that would be loving you and like openness, you go, oh my goodness.
Yep.
What's really interesting though,
Mm.
even taking that openness and even taking that's quite a unique value. And I love unique personal values because, hello, we're all unique.
Yeah,
So
we
why
are.
not go for the unique one values?
Yeah.
But I have two magnets in my counseling room. And the magnets are for a bit of a somatic feeling of going, I want to be appreciated. I want people to be open to me. I want people to honor me or da. But it just pushes it away. And they
Mm,
and they get this sort of resistance.
yeah,
And I've had people going, I've wanted to be accepted, like that guy I told before that traveled through New Zealand and Australia.
yeah.
But when I accept myself, other people start accepting me. Now, I went to a conference and I said, we're taught in psychology that we are special and we can bake a cake. And that means whatever the cake is, like the subject,
Yeah.
like change the world or
Yeah.
plant trees or whatever. Someone says, "Oh, well done on that," and then our self edification comes up and said, "It's not true. It's a lie. We need to do it ourselves." I had one guy stand up in the conference, Blair, and rip into me, going, "You're going against everything we've been taught in psychology." Now, in me, my value. So I have a value of recognition. So if I
Mm.
buy milk and bread or groceries, I'll come home and go, I bought the milk and bread as I'm putting them in the pantry. My wife just laughs at me, going, why do you need that? I don't
Yes.
need that. I need that because that's my value. But I now know to be balanced with that now.
Yeah.
And my counselling boss said, you're the best human being when you recognise other therapists or other counsellors in the room doing some great work. Going, I love that. But when you seek recognition, you're not so good, Dave.
Ah, true.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
anyway, I
Ah,
felt this value go, woo. Like what I mean, I'm not getting acknowledged and recognized and approved now. All those sort of clusters of values coming in. I've got 270 people. I'm about to speak to them. If I don't recognize him now,
yeah.
I'm going to get upset. So
Right.
he's not recognizing me. So that's
Yeah.
a breach value. I could feel it. I knew it because I'd done my inner work of that.
Yeah.
And that was my first value. I discovered another deeper value, which is even
Oh,
more powerful than recognition. They're all powerful, but they get more significant. So I
yeah.
gave away recognition. When you give away your value,
Mm,
your value speaks to you. Your inner voice speaks to you, and
yeah.
recognize him and go,
Yeah.
sir, I recognize where you were. I was there. But if you could just listen to my presentation and make a conclusion at the end,
Yeah.
could you do that? And he sat down. But if I didn't recognize him, I got offended. And let's go back, and I didn't know my recognition value, right?
Right. Right.
I'd be upset, and
Right.
then I would lose the whole crowd because I'm not practicing what I'm preaching. I'm
Right.
about my whole abstract and was on emotional regulation.
Right.
People have said
Yeah.
they've had this breach come in, they've looked at their stomach ready for the and it doesn't happen. It's like
Yeah.
Teflon and a shield.
Yeah.
It protects them. Still happens. We can't sometimes stop the external, but we
Yeah.
can control the internal.
Right.
So at the end of that conference, I had an 80% standing ovation, which was
Wow.
pretty
That's
nice. The guy came out and shook my hand.
yeah.
And then when I went home to my boss, the organisation I was working for, he said, "Dave, you've been going on about you don't need it from others. You need to give it to yourself and give it away to others." And I said, "Yeah."
Mm,
So I said,
mm,
"How much was that standing ovation in your recognition applause
yeah.
meter?" And I said, "Oh, about 7.5 out of 10." The next question that he said to me was so powerful in my journey. He said, "Did you need it?" I said, "I didn't. I recognized I gave everything in that presentation. I
Wow.
actually, not pridefully, I don't need it, but you imagine someone getting an award on stage and they're so self-entitled, it's nearly offensive. It's
Right.
all about it's all about me, and if someone doesn't recognize them, they're getting offended. Like,
Right.
so that's
Yeah.
when someone's not in line with their value. But someone who
Ah,
gets an award, an Emmy, bravery award or an ARIA award or whatever, and they're trying to give it away. I wouldn't be here if it
mm,
wasn't for them, them, them. Everyone's loving them because they're giving it away. Now, I
mm,
don't know if they're doing
mm.
core value work, but
I love that.
we know when it works. We know when people are so arrogant about themselves, self-entitled, we reject it.
Yes.
That's the values doing it because they're going, you need to gratify me, and I'm not going to gratify it out. That's very offensive.
Yeah.
So this helps correct that.
Mm,
And when people discover their own value, they listen. They listen to it strongly.
yeah.
It's like them talking to them. Is probably a better way to say it. Yeah, yeah,
Right. Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
God. Another thing that I love about you is the listening ability. You seem to be I mean, not seem to me, you are really good at it. Yeah.
yeah.
Listening.
Well,
That's
there is there is a
powerful.
little trick in listening. Is we listen. Our brains can listen at double what we can hear.
How?
Right. So let's say you speak at 250 words a minute. I can listen at 500, so could you. You can listen at double. So what happens is part of our brain goes into these other thought processes, judgment,
Right.
or not. I'm
Yeah.
judging you, but if you're in a conflict, you judge. What I'm going to do after? I'm going to have some brekkie, because it's
Yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning for me over in Australia. But if you echo in your head what the person's saying in stereo, you actually have more download of what they're saying.
Right.
It's
Right.
actually proper echoing. It's echoing in your head. So
Mm,
when you say something, you echo. And if we lose concentration of something, you go back to echoing, and it really helps connection.
right.
And don't worry about our own thoughts; they will come. I believe they come more from here. A lot of people say you're a lot of heart, Dave. I
Yeah.
said, yeah, because I just don't want to listen to my head. I want to.
Yes.
I want to listen to my heart,
I
and
agree.
speak from that. So we don't have to worry about an answer. You're
Yeah.
listening. You're listening. Ah, here it
Yeah.
is. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a little trick.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing that some people, they are, in a way, their presence alone kind of gives us this space, almost like they relax the body.
Yeah,
Like listening to you, I feel relaxed, and I don't have to think about it, what I'm going to
yeah.
say next. So that's wonderful when it happens too. So it's like a co-regulation, it's a dance, isn't it?
Yes,
It feels
that's
like a
lovely. I
dance.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're almost at the end,
Wow.
and I'm very curious now. You see, about the core value. What did I say there? Yeah,
That's
I'm
great.
still
And
kind
I,
of thinking
I
about
hope you
that.
don't mind me saying that and continue your journey on. But it was a really good interview to listen to. I think it must have been your one
So,
before me. I'm not too
yeah,
sure,
it's
but
a
it came up in my email,
Mhm.
and and it's my gift to you. If you do need
Yeah,
to call me and
yeah,
and
thank
and have a
you.
chat, please do so. But
I will.
um, I love your curiosity. I want to give you the best version, which is you discover it. And if you can discover it, if you can't, I'm still super excited
Hunter.
because it's really deep then. But if you can't bring it up now, and you haven't actually mentioned it now in our interview, if you did, I
I
would have
have not
said,
mentioned. Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
haven't, no.
Yeah.
Um, so that's okay.
Very
Um,
curious now.
very
Now,
curious.
really curious. Okay, so that's a you said that's a wonderful thing too. I know that has to do with personality, right? So you're speaking of a personality. So I'm like, what is
Yeah.
about the personality? It's almost not in a way. I'm very curious about it. But
Yes.
this is really beautiful that you do too. I can see your clients just being, yeah, I can see them, coming.
Yeah.
What you're saying that happens, the joy just arises because you are seeing them. So you
Mm,
did that to me just throughout this conversation. I
yes.
felt it like,
Yes.
oh, I'm being seen somehow. How
Yes.
interesting this
Yes.
is truly beautiful. What a
Yes.
gift. That's a gift.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
another thing that you said that I have heard before, of course, but it was a beautiful
Yes.
reminder that we
Yes.
cannot see anything. It's not about out there, it's always here. So,
Yep.
about trying to get other people to love us when we don't love ourselves. So, we're just putting the responsibility, we're just giving the responsibility away. Oh, you
Yes.
love me because it's not my responsibility.
Yeah. Yep.
How interesting that is.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
something for all of us to reflect on and to
Yes.
put into
Yes. Yeah.
practice.
It
Wow.
it's a beautiful place. So I thank you for this time
Thank
and
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
and I'm I'm hopeful it helps some people.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's the whole idea. We just kind of it came from a place of the need of having this meaningful, deep connection with other humans because I was
Yep.
not finding that with my family and neighbors and friends.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
the podcast just, was the solution for that.
Yeah.
And then it
It's a great
became a
solution.
marketing, yeah, community marketing for healing. It's funny how life just kind of it feels that way too, David. Kind of
Yes. It does.
it
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
it takes its own form, its own
Yes.
path a lot of times.
It does. Yeah, I love that.
So,
May I mention my podcast? I didn't clarify
oh,
with you
absolutely. I was
before.
about to ask. Yes. Yeah, of
Just
course.
right in the
Yeah.
moment we go. So
Yeah.
it's the Values Guy, GUI, on Spotify,
Yeah.
and that's the podcast where I really slow down the
Mhm.
values journey. I have my editor from the book
Yeah.
Values Approach in Business from Balboa Press.
Yeah.
Um, it's on Amazon, so it's on everything. It's also over in Germany at the moment, being in another language, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
um, but I slow it right down. The editor Georgia is interviewing me, asking me lots of questions, and then I'm bringing in clients, real clients that have had amazing change, plus business people, and yeah, it's been some nice feedback from it where people have you know journey through that, and I want to keep that going. Of course, I've got other ones, and I've interviewed Lara Holaskia. She's from Bosnia, but anyway, she has a TED talk on values, my inner compass,
Oh,
and she's an expert over in Europe on values. Very similar work what I'm doing here, and we're friends. And I did a
yeah.
recording yesterday with her, And I love learning off people. I love learning off you and listening to your podcast. And thank you for the honor of being here today. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, David. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
I mean, you're on to something quite remarkable because
Thank you.
yeah, because my spiritual practices, they all lead me to almost like placeless place of being as open as possible.
Yeah.
But then when you speak of listening to you and the value and the core value idea, it just kind of it makes sense. Yeah, that has to
Yeah.
do with the conditioned body mind, that it is has to do with ancestry, who knows, past lives even, we don't know. Like you
No.
said, it might, maybe we were born with that.
Yes.
So that's and that makes sense because we're all unique and we are complex in so many ways. And of
Yes.
course,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
interesting. I mean, it's fascinating. I remember one day somebody asked the spiritual teachers, one of the Vedanta teachers,
Yes.
so what do you really, really, really want from this life? You know, what's your really
Hmm.
your core desire, longing?
Yep.
And then he said, it's to be one with God. It's
Yeah.
to embody this union, you know, be one with
Hmm.
everything. Like know that there's no others. We are just kind of speaking to myself. Everything is the
Yeah.
self.
Yes.
And that's really that's the core of what I'm looking at it. Like I really want to this body mind, this
Yes.
conditioned body mind,
Yeah.
finally come in alignment with this you know, this reality that's absolute and everything is all
Hmm.
about. It's not really about all it's benevolent by nature, but there's
Yeah.
something about doing this, for example, having this conversation, this podcast, that it
Yeah.
feels very much in alignment with the divine core, as I call it. It's almost like a sacredness that is
True. I
here.
love.
So I don't know if that, but anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted
I
to say
love how you said that. Yeah. Not that I teach clients this. Some people don't believe in God, or they
that.
just
Yeah,
don't
right,
completely
right.
worldly. But I believe that the values that we have are a character of God.
Mm,
Right?
yeah,
They're a
yeah.
character
Uh,
of love.
mm,
They're
mm.
that's that
Aha.
I
Yes.
strongly believe that.
Yeah, you know, you're onto something. And because are there's is there I have to ask you this.
Yes.
Is there such a thing as malevolent value? Something that's
Hmm.
actually there to harm other humanity and the planet and
Oh, okay. I
itself?
see. Yeah. Um. Okay, that's an interesting question. I All I could say is if I have someone in my room and they're a good person, or they're failing in some ways, but I can sense that, yeah, okay, I can help them. I
Yeah.
will give them my all, right? But if I sense that they are evil, like there's something wrong, there's
Mm,
something not right about that person spiritually or whatever's going on,
right.
I now don't have the energy for that. I say I'm not the right counselor for you, and there's only a couple of times that that's happened in
Yeah.
my career.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I mean, I do have my own understanding of what that possibly could be. It's you know, in psychology there are psychopaths, and there's people that are just not okay.
Right.
If I could bring them back to values, they have definitely weaponized their
Mm,
values. They have
mm,
absolutely atomic bombed it.
mm,
But when you look back into their childhood, and with my compassion and empathy there, they've had traumatic childhoods. They have had their values absolutely violated.
mm,
And so
mm.
they need to have a very special therapist, or be able to help them. Um,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm very strict on any weaponizing in couple therapy, and I'll shut that down, and I'll say, hey, that's not appropriate and things. But even one on one, there's a
Yeah.
book, Why Does He Make Me Do That, by Linda Buncroft. I think it's how you say her name. 3% of people in that top echelon change. And now, in 25 years of doing counselling, I would say she's on the money. I don't
Yeah.
see many people at that extreme level of evil change. And it's not
Wow.
very encouraging for me to say that, but most people are not at that. They have no empathy, no compassion. It's very calculated. It's, that really top level, and
Yeah.
that's a whole lot of energy plus
Yeah.
Valley's in
Mm.
there somewhere, but there's a lot of volume of nastiness. So that's
Mm. Mhm.
yeah. I mean, there can be radical change, but yeah. I hope that answers that question. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
does. It feels to me like I mean,
yeah,
the way I'm listening here from you,
yeah.
the message I got is that there's no such a thing as malevolent value. That all values are in nature benevolent, but then some in some people it might be hidden so deep that they have no access to them. Either
Maybe, yeah,
they can either
maybe
heal
that
them
might
because
be
they don't
might
have,
be it. Yeah, I've
am I
never
correct?
heard of it, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we're just kind of, yeah. I'm just curious. I'm very curious about all this.
yeah,
I have no idea.
yeah, yeah.
I could
But if
talk to you forever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but if someone doesn't is not aware of their behavior, they're blaming other people, they're totally
yeah,
emotionally dysregulated. That's a very, very difficult person to try and bring through.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
majority of people have
yeah.
a conscience. Let's go back to that. They feel something, their inner voice saying, "Don't do that," or
Right, right,
guidance. Then I can work with that person. So it's
right,
sort of talking about
right.
that lack of apathy, lack of understanding, and truly, people that are in that space, they can actually smile while they're talking about such evils, and that really just irks
Yeah,
me. And I eventually go, no, you're definitely not my person, because
yes,
I can put more energy into 100 people than I'd need 1,000 people's energy to help that
mm,
one person if they're not willing
mm,
to help themselves. That's
right,
the key. When
right.
someone is wanting to be helped, they're saying, "Dave, I've heard about this value stuff, blah blah blah," or they're they're angry, but it grieves them that they're angry, or they're upset and it grieves them. Why did that upset me so? Why? I know the answer. It's in you. I'm going to
Right,
show up a mirror so you can see it, and it's
right.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love it. It can happen even in one session.
Oh,
I've
wow.
had people completely change, and that may seem pretty
Yeah,
ridiculous me even saying that, like one session and people hearing this, but it can if someone's ready for it.
yeah,
And then I
yeah,
go, "What's the value?" And they find it. They go, "Oh my goodness!" Now next
yeah,
session, they're just aware of it. If all those roads of situations come through my mind, come through my emotions, come through my
yeah.
body, my behavior, all and come to this value, the value is the lowest part because that's the love.
Right,
And
right,
if all those roads go, "Oh my goodness, that's when I felt unappreciated, dishonored, not worthy enough, and my self-worth and all this," oh my goodness. And
right.
then we go on to stage 2 going, right, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that gets their attention. Whereas
Mm,
before, when they didn't know their value, everybody else is at fault.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody else is doing the
yeah.
wrong thing. Their judgment outside is
Right,
incredibly loud.
right, right,
But when
right.
they go, hang on, I'm the vessel that's maybe needs to have some work. Uh,
Yeah.
it can change that relationship, but we do this work first.
Right,
I think
right.
in closing, I'm not too sure we're pretty much done. I think, but the key is to love God, love ourselves, and love others. That's it,
Mm,
right? That's
yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
ultimately
Oh,
believe that.
yeah. Right. That's it.
I do that through my values. My deepest value is honor,
Yeah.
and I had to have my supervisor help me discover my honor value. And
Mm,
I was pouring out my heart about something that was painful in my life, and we're in this home in the courtyard, and he said, "Dave, you keep mentioning this really powerful value word," and I went, "I couldn't find it. I'm the core value author, I'm just being gifted with it to not taking any recognition there."
oh, the
Yeah, yeah.
recognition.
And he said, "Go back through the story." So I have to go back through the story. I can't just find it in my thinking. I can't really find it in my thinking. I'll find it in my speaking.
Yeah.
And he said, go back through the story, Dave. And I went, oh my goodness, I'm actually having a core value back to me. And I said it again. And he said, there it is. And I went, oh, honor. Now, I tell you what, that emotional experience, that spiritual encounter that I had then, I can feel it now. But it was powerful. Now, when I watch movies on honor, when I'm speaking it and feeling it, I have more connection with it, right? So here's the kicker. I rang up a friend of mine that's 20 years ago that we had a men's counsellors group that we support each other professionally. And I said, I've just discovered my core one. Like, it's deep. I can feel it. And he goes, what is it, Dave? And I go, honor. And he says, no way. And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, all back then when you were teaching us about core value therapy, you said honor all the time. We thought you knew it. I mean, you're the core value guy. You're whatever. You're the values guy. I did not hear it once. Once. I cannot recall saying it.
Amazing.
And that's our subconscious. That's our deep automatic pilot, or whatever you want to call it. But now I hear it every time I say it. And that's a beautiful gift that someone who I trusted, that knew my values work, he's read my books, was able to dig and get a deeper one for me, which I fully honor, right? But anytime I'm feeling dishonored, I go, oh, I need to honor them back. I need to honor that. That's that's all I've got. That's all my resources I've got. But that's how I'll love them back, if I'll honor them if they're dishonoring me. It's not nice when a value is breached. Right. But the answer is to fulfill your value in all purity and all love as much as possible. It gives us legs and an ability to do that, rather than, oh, it's your fault, you're dishonoring me. Or you must be right. And if I get dishonored, I'm going to be a pretty horrible person. But if I realize, no, I can still be good by befriending my value, and then let's work together. And it gives you ideas. And actually, I tell people, just pause and have a listen. Don't listen to it when it's unwell and it's sick. You can realize, because you're going to attack. Right. But if you listen to it and go, hang on a minute, and that will only come once they're aware of it. And it's, I suppose, my only closing frustrating part about all this is it needs a one-on-one moment. It's person to person. I've done groups, but it's hard to pop everyone's value in a group. It's like I've got to be on supercharge, but it's much better one-on-one. And that's the only way it works, but it's a slow burn. It's like, I want to get us out into the world going, come on, people, know your values and live them. Make them a verb, make them. Love is a doing thing. Like love is kind, love is patient. That classic scripture that's read at some, I was going to say funerals, but marriages. But it's a doing word, right? Yeah, it is, David. Yeah, but how beautiful. I'm sure we're out of time. Sorry about that. Yeah. Thank you so much again for your beautiful presence, for being open to life as life itself. It's truly beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So I want to mention your website, suncoastcounseling.com.au. It will be clickable in our podcast notes. Yes. The last question that I can't help but ask you is about freedom. This platform is titled The Freedom to Feel for a reason. But what is freedom to you? Oh, dear. The first thing that comes is freedom to love. I have a choice. I do have a choice. I think our free will is our greatest gift. That's wow. That's a beautiful one. The freedom to love. Yeah. Thank you so much again. Thank you.